And Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
If John was beaten up and attacked in that house, who did it?
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. And it's not for us to know. Somebody other than Karen is responsible for that, for the killing of John.
Yeah. Roberta in the truth zone, mic hitting raw. Spotlight shining, she exposing the flaw. Debunking the myth, breaking their facade. This is Glass City, respect the squad. On these NYC blocks where the skyline flex big. Roberta Glass slicing lies with a truth rig. Innocence frosters, your stories unravel. She's a map through the madness of gritty gravel. Glass don't bend and facts don't break. She's a storm that's called, you feel the quake. Exposing tales stitched with crooked seams. Justice in the lens, shattered fake dreams. Dreams about killers, painted heroes in disguise. She burning propaganda with fire in her eyes. No glamour for the guilty, she call it straight. She backs victims, the voice stay awake. Stats and receipts, no spin, no clutter. Cold cases whisper, she cuts through the mutter. Truth's her tempo, don't confuse the beat. She's standing for the real while you taking a seat. True crime's a block, facts the artillery. Spinning those lies, yo, she checks that misery. Tabloid tales get smashed, no time to play. She's glass hard, break the false and save the day. True crime's a block, facts the artillery. Spinning those lies, yo, she checks that misery. Tabloid tales get smashed, no time.
Okay, how is everybody? Hello, Iowa RT. Hello, Deb H. Hello, T Joy. Hello, Myrna. Hello, Markar. Hello, Taterbug. Hello, Rosewater. So we had no court today in Karen Reed's case. And it was like we had too much stuff yesterday to cover. If you caught, we had a pretty explosive Donna Adelson hearing. I hope I'll get to cover that sometime. They had an informant in jail with her. Sounds like they have tons of audio the defense has to go through. It sounds like it's going to be delayed. So pretty fascinating hearing. I covered at the end of trial yesterday. And also Aiden Turtleboy Kearney had a hearing at the end of Karen Reed's hearing, like right as Karen Reed's hearing is going on. And if you didn't catch it, last week, I did an episode about Aiden Carney's new filing in his case. So if you don't know, Aiden Carney is a blogger, and he was reached out to about this case by Karen Reed, and he's worked with Karen Reed and her lawyers to harass witnesses, create an innocence fraud campaign that would essentially, the first aim was to make the charges disappear before they ever went to trial. That was the first idea. And that is what David Yannetti is really known for. Is if you look at I've gone through it before a couple times on my channel. You go to his website, it's charges dropped, charges dropped, charges dropped. He makes more deals and gets charges dropped than he ever tries cases, at least from the representation on his website. So that was the idea, is make an uproar, AstroTurf crowds, get as much press as they can, so that everyone is up in arms and thinks that this is a huge injustice. and that didn't work. But they kept doing it, and it's worked so far. The press on the trial is like we're watching Bizarro World, all about how Jen McCabe lied on the stand. Why doesn't the press cover Karen Reed's lies? So my feeling is that her lawyers are still using this strategy, reaching out to the press. There was a big national story last night, and it was told entirely from her point of view. I think I'll go over it in another episode, but boy, was it infuriating. I mean, we're talking about memory. We're talking about what we're being asked. We're talking about trauma with Jennifer McCabe, but I didn't see her cat. You didn't tell the grand jury that she said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Keep saying that. Keep getting Jennifer McCabe to testify to how certain she is. It's an epic fail for Alan Jackson because Jennifer McCabe is certain, as are the other witnesses, which they'll never talk about. It's how many witnesses heard Karen Reed. Our press will never talk about this. How many witnesses in this case heard Karen Reed say the exact same thing? Are we all supposed to, what is it? We're going to get Elizabeth Loftus on the stand and say their memory was all infected? Please be my guest, Karen Reed. Here's an idea for you. Get Elizabeth Loftus, who's testified for Harvey Weinstein. She worked on the OJ case. She didn't testify for OJ, but she worked on the OJ case. She essentially got Tim Hennis out of jail, mama and baby killer, before the DNA was tested. And then he was tried militarily. He's on military death row. She paraded him around Innocence Project meetings all over the country and on the Joan Rivers show, saying that you can't trust the eyewitness accounts of seeing him. I mean, she's worked on more killers and predators. She's pen pals with Sandusky, Cosby, she's testified for. Get her on the stand and say, basically, Elizabeth Loftus would say, is that you can't trust what anyone sees, what anyone remembers. She testified in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. I actually saw her testify from court in that case. And I saw her in the hallways walking out. She was high on a sense of her own self-importance. Draconis, you can't trust anything that you see, anything that you hear, anything that you remember. Of course, memory is elastic and fallible. But come on, how many people heard Karen Reed say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? And now the press wants to make Jennifer McCabe into some kind of liar? And while Karen Reed is beyond a reproach, give me a break. So what I think is going on is I think her lawyers are still reaching out to the press, still making deals, still getting press for her. But boy, in Aiden Carney's hearing, Prosecutor Robert Cosgrove dropped a bomb about this bizarro filing. I didn't know what to make of it. No receipts were given. And I don't want to go out and say something. I know something's untrue. Boy, it felt untrue. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a little truth sprinkled in there, a lot of truth sprinkled in there, and a little untruth. You just don't know. But let you know my feeling was I thought it was made up, as Aiden Carney has these flying monkeys that are willing to do this kind of thing for him, lie under oath for him, sign sworn affidavits. We saw this before with a woman named Mary who had wildly changing accounts against Lindsay Gattani. Went over that many episodes ago. So women are not above lying for him. So, but also what was also more interesting about what Robert Cosgrove, and I don't want to call him Ken Cosgrove, the Mad Men character, what Robert Cosgrove, he's a judge and he's specially appointed prosecutor in Aiden Carney's witness harassment. So Aiden Carney has 16 witness harassment counts connected to the Karen Reed case, where he went to different witnesses' homes in a rolling rally. So they went from home to home to home, calling these people killers and murderers, and that they were the worst people on earth in front of their children, went to their children's sports games. Karen Reed directed him to Aiden Carney to walk right up to Jennifer McCabe and say, "Do you think you could outsmart Karen Reed?" They are so connected that Karen Reed wanted Aiden Carney's lawyer to come on board with her legal team. But it appears that they're still working together. So I didn't know what to make of this filing, what it was really about, etc. What I thought it was about was an effort, because it's its only defense. And it's the way Karen Reed has gotten some advantages in her case by starting a federal investigation, by getting people's phones and finding something embarrassing that you can twist around that they've done against them on their phones. So I thought this was all an effort to get Aiden Carney's latest filing was all an effort to get Kate Peter, his arch enemy's phones, and search her phones. So, because she certainly, I've interviewed her, she certainly hates him. And maybe they can say it's some kind of malicious intent. And I don't know what her relationship is with the prosecutor, but I certainly would find it odd if she were getting paid $1,500 a month via Cash App by the Commonwealth. You just never know in this case. Massachusetts is, wild case. Tonya, I found my people. Hey, I saw your nice comment, Tonya. She left a comment. I found my people. Happy I found you. I'm happy you're here. That was a fun comment to get. You left on the live comment, Tonya. So anyway, let's go over what the filing was about. Let's just refresh ourselves. So this is from Aiden Carney's blog. It's going to have a ton of ads. I've just never found an ad blocker. I actually have an ad blocker, but it just doesn't seem to make any difference. Just the ads keep going. Canton cover-up. Sworn affidavit alleges Commonwealth agent Kate Peter was paid 15. So this is what's also known as Sofagate. Kate Peter was paid $1,500 monthly, bribed with a couch by Jennifer McCabe. So Kate Peter and Jennifer McCabe are friendly. To spread disinformation about Karen Reed. To spread disinformation. That's what we're all doing. All of us who are talking facts. Talk about projecting. That's what you're doing, Aiden Carney. Spreading total disinformation, propaganda, fantastical tales to get a cop killer off. Congratulations. It's making you very rich. I tell you, there's making you rich and popular and powerful. And all these lawyers are jumping aboard. These YouTube lawyers are jumping aboard for many clicks and a lot of money. That's what you get when you back a killer. Jennifer McCabe to spread disinformation about Karen Reed while working directly with Hank Brennan and Michael Marcie. So her neighbor, it's kind of disturbing, who has a whole criminal background of her own. So see, and right here he puts, they're demanding discovery again. They want her phones. See, he's figured out, he's gotten a whole education and innocence fraud from Karen Reed. I reside, and they redacted her name, but it's out there. I reside in Massachusetts. I'm of age. I've been friendly with Kate Peter. I've had multiple conversations and face-to-face interactions with Peter. Peter volunteered information to me about Karen Reed case countless times through our friendship. All factual representations below are from what Peter told me about her involvement in the Karen Reed and Aiden Carney cases. During Karen Reed's first trial, she was in regular communication with Adam Lally. At one point, prior to jury deliberations, Peter met with Adam Lally for lunch. During this lunch meeting, Adam Lally told Peter that he knows the foreperson who... Hold on one second. See if I can find the actual document again. Who is a retired police officer, and the juror is guaranteeing a mistrial. So why would you need to why would you need to get someone on the jury to get you a mistrial? No prosecutor wants a mistrial. Only defense attorneys want mistrials. And they don't even want them that much. You want a conviction if you're going to put someone as the foreperson on a jury that you know, to sway the jury in your favor. You don't want to sway them in the way of a mistrial. Because even to disprove this even more is that, so this is what I said when I read it, even to disprove it even more, the Commonwealth retried Karen Reed. They've told, I don't know if this is true. I think after this, I don't know what's going to happen if we're headed into another hung jury because of this. And I think it will be solely due to Karen Reed and Aiden Carney's innocence fraud campaign and the success of it and our media that supports it. If we get another mistrial. But they've told Paul O'Keefe that they'll keep trying her again and again. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. It's something you may say in the beginning, by the second time, and you spent, close to $1 million in trying Karen Reed. I don't know. So I thought that was ridiculous. I pointed that out right away. But also, she said she was given a sofa, that Kate Peter really believes Karen Reed is innocent, but she has to play the game. That is an accusation that has been thrown. I've gotten. See, all these people think that we're just saying this to I don't know what, to be totally unpopular and not gain it and not benefit monetarily at all. I don't know. But that's a common thing, that we really believe she's innocent. And it has to play the game. What's play the game? And she's very close with Hank Brennan, and that she talks with Hank Brennan personally. So these are some of the charges, just to give you an idea, that she stalks Karen Reed at the Omni Hotel. She was given a brand new sofa by Jennifer McCabe. And I've read Kate Peters' answer as said this woman has cats and kittens, that she doesn't spay, that she can't afford, that she goes from home to home before she gets kicked out, that she's frequently in prison. So not the best person if you want to get a sworn affidavit from, but okay, if those things are true. And that she had court dates coming up, and that also she believes that she was promised some kind of help with her court dates to help Aiden Carney, either a lawyer or, I don't know, some help with her legal. That's Kate Peters' theory. So, lackadaisical, thanks so much for gifting 10 memberships. My understanding is that they'll be handed out at random. I have Patreon memberships to hand out, and I will be doing that probably either at the end of this, we are at the end of this week, or the beginning of next week, during my live streams during the day, watching the trial. So look for that. That is all courtesy of Tammy. So Tammy, thank you very much. And thank you, Tanya, for becoming a member. So here is, so let's get to this incredible, unbelievable hearing of Aiden Carney's yesterday, where Robert Cosgrove let it spill what he thought. Wow. I feel like singing It's Raining Men after yesterday. Does anybody listen to Jennifer McCabe's? Her sister gets drunk and dances around with an umbrella. It's Raining Men. It's raining memberships. Thank you. My Father's Alibi, Allison Gavani. Thanks so much. Check out my interview with Allison and check out her channel. Thanks so much, Allison. It's really nice to see you. She's fighting hard for justice for her murdered mother, Nancy Galvani. I hope that's going well. Hope we get a conviction in that case, or even just a arrest would be so good. Okay, so here's yesterday. Aiden Carney in court.
Other things besides attorney-client privilege, specifically reporter privilege.
Okay.
And I'm...
So this is just to show you his background. This is Robert C. Cosgrove. He's a special appointed prosecutor. He's a judge in Superior Court, Massachusetts. That's what he looks like. He's off screen. And so is, I can't remember which lawyer, so is one of Aiden Carney's lawyers.
As I was leaving for court this morning,
Right. Thank you for reminding me. So at the end, the prosecutors are asking, I really buried the lead. Thank you, Beach Essence. The prosecutors are asking that. I don't think it will happen. That's why I think I buried the lead here. They're asking that Aiden Carney's bail be revoked and he go to jail or prison. I think it's jail. And I don't think it's happening, not in Massachusetts, not from what I've seen in defendant-friendly Massachusetts. I'm very doubtful that this is going to happen. He's threatened the investigator in his own case, and by saying that he's seeking revenge and Jesus is telling him to seek revenge. I don't think it's going to happen. But what I found more interesting is the nature of where this filing and why this filing was released when it came out. That's what interested me most, because I have no doubt that Aiden Carney is going to stay free for most of the trial. I don't think he's going to jail for the trial. I'd be very shocked. This is a new judge. He hasn't really seen how Aiden Carney's violated his bail conditions time after time after time. I think that would take some time for the judge to lose patience. I think a fresh judge coming into this, I can't see him taking away. But I could be wrong. That's just my gut instinct on that. What do you guys think? Maybe I'll put a poll up and you can tell me what you think.
received a text from Mr. Kearney indicating that he intended to rely for his filing on something previously filed.
Also, what I thought was so interesting is, and I cut this a lot just to cut to the chase here, but I think that what is more interesting about this case is how much he's learning from Karen Reed and her criminal, sleazy, low-life lawyers, how they operate. Now, we saw in the Karen Reed case that they, in the first trial and the second trial, that their technique is to hide discovery, delete things, delete text messages, use encrypted apps, all of that, which Aiden Carney did, use the Signal app. That's how Aiden Carney and Karen Reed communicate. So they're convinced that they can't find any, that they won't be able to find any text messages between Karen Reed and Aiden Carney after the ones that have come out have been when they've been using the middle woman, Natalie Bernschneider-Wawicki, to communicate. And Natalie would send a screenshot of Karen Reed's message to Aiden Carney. So if you've seen my closing, there's a picture on the screen and it says, this is my words, not Karen Reed's, but to think that this crime wasn't planned is a mistake. The aim was to teach John a lesson at minimum. Those are Karen Reed's own words. It's a mistake to think that this wasn't planned, which makes me think that Karen Reed's talking about her own crime, that she had been fantasizing about hitting John O'Keefe with her car or causing some kind of bodily injury or death to him before this. That's my thoughts. I don't think that this was all done on the fly. Hey, Dean Walker. Nice to see you. Hope the grandbaby is doing well. So, but Aiden Carney, what he's learned from Karen Reed is he's not giving over he's got so many phones that they've collected, and he's not giving over the passwords to those phones. So it was an issue. He's not saying it's a Fifth Amendment issue because he knows he won't win it. But they're basically saying, just like the ARCA witnesses, like they don't know, they can't remember, don't know. There are other people's phones. Why does he have other people's phones? He doesn't know the passwords to his own phones. And it's very much like Karen Reed when they asked for her phone. She had 2 phones. This is that she was communicating with Aiden Carney with. So they had warrants for 2 phones. He has multiple phones. It's very much like how these psychopaths operate. Multiple aliases, multiple identities, multiple phones, encrypted apps, pretending you don't know the passwords of your own phones and you can't hand them over.
I unfortunately do not have that with me and have not been able to look at it. But as far as the argument itself goes, I'm more than willing to rest on my filing, allowing the motion for impoundment pending today's proceedings. And I want to place the court on notice that I object largely to the order of impoundment. I don't object the impoundment of the name of the witness in item number 8, who is allegedly described with an obscenity, although that is the least of the characterizations of his behavior, allegedly described that way by Ms. Peter. But I do object to the affidavit being supported by what in effect, for the record, would be an anonymous affiant. I particularly object to that because before the ink was dry, Mr. Kearney essentially outed the name of the affiant on his own YouTube presentation.
So he outed it on his own YouTube presentation, but he also put up the affidavit signed. I read it on Twitter, and I was dumb and didn't take a screenshot of the whole thing when he put it up with this name signed to it, because now I have to read it going through his whole stupid blog. But he put it up with the name signed, and then that tweet was gone. So this is what I don't like about X. What do you call it? His own X was gone? It's such an awkward, weird name for it, for a thing. X. Can someone else buy it? Can we go back to Twitter? Although I don't like that. Like when it was owned, I was constantly being shadow banned for nothing, for nothing, for not having a popular opinion. It was awful. It was awful. So and follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Follow me. I'm at Roberta Glass Pod. I'm on there. That's pretty much the social media app that I use the most. I'm trying to branch out to Instagram, and I hate Facebook, anything but Facebook.
And her identity was discerned by Ms. Peter the same day and was the subject of an extensive post on YouTube. So there is no purpose at this point, Your Honor, to allowing her to pretend to hide behind an impoundment order.
Okay, I get it.
All right. Moving on to that, Your Honor, I object to the affidavit. I think that Mr. Kearney should produce the affiant, or that the affidavit should be stricken. This affidavit largely recounts purported hearsay by Ms. Peter, and I'm not going to go through them all one by one, but I will say, for example, that the assertions set forward in the affidavit are so preposterous and outlandish on their face that I really, I don't mean to be overly critical of brother counsel, but I really question the judgment of counsel for Mr. Kearney in going.
So that's the question. And lawyers were saying, well, if there weren't validity to this, you can't file something that you knowingly know is false. Although we've seen it done in the Karen Reed case. But people were saying, this is a lawyer filing this thing? It's so outrageous. I heard her talking to Hank Brennan, and she's handing Hank Brennan stuff, and that wasn't the most outrageous thing. The most outrageous thing was promising him that she's meeting with Adam Lally in secret exchanges, and he knows the foreperson, and the foreperson promised him a mistrial. What a fail that is. You promised a win, but you knew the first trial ended in a mistrial, so that doesn't really say cards stacked against Karen Reed's against Karen Reed. If anything, it says the Turtle Riders were on the jury. And I think that's been proven, what we've found out. Please, I just pray that there's no more Victoria Georges and Ronnie the EMTs on this jury. I hope that Hank Brennan is really good at picking a jury, because none of this will matter. I mean, everybody's been saying, we'll go over that in a bit, even some of the free Karen Reed lawyers did not like basically the grifting YouTube lawyers. Didn't think Alan Jackson's cross of Jennifer McCabe was very effective. I didn't think it was. I thought, if anything, he was turning off the jury. I mean, to come down hard on the soccer mom for no reason, and basically every witness they've been that aggressive with. I mean, it's like if you shout all day long, it loses its power. So if you attack every witness pretty much, except for that stunt he did with Peggy O'Keefe, that was revolting. That was really revolting, to say, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for your loss, but I've been harassing witnesses and harassing on a side that's been harassing your family and booing your family, and never once called off the dogs and told people not to treat your family this way. I've been working with a blogger who regularly demeans and degrades you and swears at you and about you. But I'm really sorry for your loss, while I go and sit down with your son's murderer. What a revolting piece of trash Alan Jackson is. Isn't he? But nobody knew why he filed this. Why did he file this if it was so wacky? And this woman is so wacky. So here's a little hint.
Forward and filing it. For example, if Your Honor will look at item 6, supposedly Ms. Peter said, and the fiant repeats it as gospel, that at one point in the jury deliberations, Ms. Peter met with a prosecutor for lunch, and that during the lunch meeting, doesn't say where, doesn't say when, during the lunch meeting, the prosecutor was indiscreet enough to tell Ms. Peter that he knows the foreperson, who is a retired police officer, and he, the juror, is guaranteeing a mistrial. Now, does that make sense to you, Your Honor, that an experienced prosecutor, and I don't know if the name prosecutor has appeared in front of you or not, or has an impression of you have an impression of his ethical qualities, but he would have to be both unethical and stupid to both engage in this kind of...
He'd have to be unethical and stupid. Again, so it's Aiden Carney's unethical lawyers, together with Karen Reed's unethical lawyers, calling Adam Lally and Hank Brennan unethical. I thought the most revealing part of Jen McCabe's cross was Alan Jackson asking her how she prepared for her testimony. Did they talk about how your demeanor this time around? Did they try to make you sympathetic by the jury and preparing you to talk about all your sports momness? So that's what they must do on their side. That's how they prepare on their side. Go over every element of their testimony, and we've seen it with the ARCA emails, and script it. And we've seen it in the changing of the testimony between Marie Russell's first testimony and her second testimony. And of course, Lucky Lawford's stories are all over the place. And McNasty Green. So why I call Richard Green McNasty Green is he was at a bar called McNasty's drinking, and he got drunk and he put his hands on a waitress and fell down, and people were like, "Hey, get your hands off this waitress." And while he was doing that, he fell down off the bar stool and accused, I can't remember if it was one or two guys, of punching him. And then he had to take a plea deal in that case for false accusations. So McNasty Green, he's also perjured himself on the stand like the ARCA witnesses. Nobody in our press is talking about that. He said Selbright never called him back first time round. Correct his error. The 2:27 time search that really happened at 6:23 and 6:24 in the morning. He said he never heard back. Ian Whiffen said he contacted him directly. So I think the crosses of those witnesses are going to be very different, but I thought it was pretty revealing. There cannot be one juror who's not going to miss when it comes time for Alan Jackson and David Yannetti et al. To put on their defense. There's going to be one juror who's going to think, like, were they prepared? Were they managed the way Alan Jackson is essentially telling Jennifer McCabe, asking Jennifer McCabe? They managed? Was their demeanor managed? Was their testimony scripted by the defense? Thought that was a big fail. He thought he'd get her to say that they worked on her tone, et cetera, because that's what he would do.
Jury tampering, and there's nothing else you can call it. And essentially, contacting a juror to fix the outcome of the jury trial, and then turn that information over to a woman who is a known YouTube blogger. That's one. In item 7, she indicates
That I found really cute. A known YouTube blogger. Okay. Robert Cosgrove. You can be a YouTuber. She has a YouTube channel. I wouldn't call Kate Peter necessary. Yeah, I guess she is a little bit of a YouTuber. She has a YouTube, but she also has a blog where she wrote a blog about this accusation about Sofagate. She wrote her blog. I read it on air, most of it. But now she's a YouTube blogger. I thought it was cute.
that she, Ms. Peter, is paid $1,500 each month via Cash App for her assistance in the Karen Reed and Aiden Carney prosecutions. Well, I'm tempted to make light of this, Your Honor, and say that if the district attorney is paying Ms. Peter that money, he's not getting his money's worth, because I haven't heard from Ms. Peter in the entire time that I've been representing the Commonwealth in this case. But put that aside, Cash App has records, as I understand it. It has records from what bank account to what bank account. I don't know what Mr. Bradle did to verify this, but I don't see any records from Cash App, and I would like to examine this Colantonio, excuse me, so far it's still impounded, but I guess I've been about the 9 millionth person to let the name out of the cat out of the bag.
Jackson, and I move that it be stricken.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Cosgrove.
I would like to examine the affiant.
Okay, were you guys listening? So it's like, this came out right before Jen McCabe testified. And the point of it was to smear Jennifer McCabe and said she was buying people couches. So this was a favor, I believe, done by Aiden Carney to number one, to get Kate Peters' phone. He wants her phone because that's how Karen Reed, she benefited from the federal investigation, the favor done to her and David Yannetti through, he was on Rachel Rollins, worked in the Attorney General's office, on her transition team. She's a big innocence fraudster herself, Rachel Rollins. And he goes to Josh Levy, gets this federal investigation going, not because there's any malfeasance, but to make it look like there is. And that is the definition of fraud, is to make something look like something it's not. Larry P. says, why would Jennifer McCabe answer the phone at 4:30 if she just killed somebody? Perfect alibi is to say you're sleeping. But Larry P., you have to ask what all free Karen readers ask. Why come? Why come butt dials? They never ask why Karen Reed lies so much and why her story changes. Why she had to start a witness harassment campaign via Turtleboy. It doesn't sound like an innocent person would want to, she didn't know who did it, would want to accuse other people without knowing for sure. Why come? Why come butt dials? Clearly a butt dial. The only explanation for that is either they're telling the truth and it's a butt dial, or they're not telling the truth and they're lying. But the only reason to lie is to cover up a murder, right? No other reason. No other reason. I don't even know if all those calls connected. And certainly Jen McCabe didn't delete anything, if you listen to Ian Whiffin's testimony. Why come? I need to make a t-shirt from the Free Karen readers. Why come? Why come? Why come, everybody? Why come?
she did to verify. The affiant then says that she personally has heard Ms. Peter on the phone with Hank Brennan, that she personally recognized Hank Brennan's voice, that Peter told him that her people leaked it to the media, referring to the federal investigation being over. Well, I think the people who, putting aside the fact that I think the person who leaked it to the media effectively was the U.S. attorney on a radio interview, who responded to the question of whether she had communicated with the Commonwealth and the police department as to the progress of that investigation, by saying that she couldn't verify whether a grand jury investigation was over, but that it would not be uncommon for her office to communicate with law enforcement, et cetera, et cetera. Anyone who had any sophistication knew what she was saying. And about a week later, Section 17, where Peter informs her that Jennifer McCabe paid her for her show of support. Well, subsequently know that apparently the affiant lives in the same apartment building of Ms. Peter, who has not denied in her own posting that she knows this particular witness, and presumably she knew that Ms. Peter had a brand new sectional. I suggest that the information that Jennifer McCabe brought her a brand new sectional is made up out of whole cloth. And I'm not going to go through it all, because I'm hoping the court will give me an opportunity to examine this witness on the witness stand. But I think the court could ask itself why this particular affidavit is being submitted now.
Okay, this is the important part, guys. Open your ears. Open your ears. I know we have a lot of guests in the chat, new guests. Please be civil, everyone. But this is the key part. Listen up.
In support of what I would suggest would otherwise be a fairly routine thing that comes before judges, motions to compel discovery.
Okay. Let me hear from Mr.
And
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
And I suggest that the reason is this, and the court can make its own judgment. And my assessment is that the purpose of the motion is to dirty Jennifer McCabe. I don't think it's an accident that Jennifer McCabe was testifying today in the other courtroom and yesterday in the other courtroom. And I suggest that the purpose of this motion, which has been loudly trumpeted by Mr.
Okay. So do you get that? Everybody get that? Right before Jennifer McCabe testifies, we get this motion that disparages her. How did that happen? How did that happen? And it speaks to what Hank Brennan has called the symbiotic relationship between Karen Reed's defense and Aiden Carney's defense. And you know there's no honor among thieves and no honor among psychopaths. Karen Reed, I think Karen Reed is eventually charged with these witness harassment counts. And I don't know why her lawyers wouldn't, but they won't. They're too powerful. I think that Aiden Carney is more likely to snitch than Karen Reed. If he ever snitches on Karen Reed, we're going to hear an earful. and her lawyers. If he snitches on her and her lawyers, we're going to hear an earful. And it's going to be a lot of what we thought, and I think a lot of surprises. I think they've been acting so criminally. I mean, we just know about their behavior. 100 text messages deleted. When do you think those text messages were deleted? When Hank Brennan started asking for discovery in November. Delete your text messages. Get on Signal. So obvious to anyone with eyes and ears. Because they can't win playing fairly. They have to cheat. Because the evidence is so strong against Karen Read that they have to cheat with creepy stuff like sandbagging the Commonwealth and not handing over discovery, which they've done every trial. They've done it with Marie Russell. They've done it with the ARCA witnesses. And then they lied to the jury about the ARCA witnesses. You're not getting paid. The Commonwealth could have used you. We didn't retain you. Oh, no, no, no. And now Judge Cannoni is going to invite these lying witnesses back to lie some more. I don't think it's going to matter this time around because I think Hank Brennan's going to destroy them on cross. The issue is if these ARCA witnesses and their new testing, which the Commonwealth doesn't have time to do the proper testing to debunk. If one juror is convinced, we're headed into another hung jury. That's the problem, Judge Cannoni. How many times do you want a hung jury in this, Judge Cannoni? Why don't, and she's like, well, Karen Read's right to a fair trial is paramount. A fair trial? What about this is a fair trial? What about it is a fair trial? When you put your thumb so heavily on the scale for the defense. I mean, it just speaks to the way our legal system has moved. And we have these judges whose entire interest is with the defendant. Now, there was a lot of talk from yesterday that Karen Read might be taking a plea deal because the victim's family is often told of some kind of plea deal before it happens. I don't believe Karen Read will ever take a plea deal. I think there was some behavior in the courtroom, if I had to guess, some issues between families. I don't know. I don't even want to. I know Paul O'Keefe can be quite hot-headed and not think before he acts sometimes. So I don't know if it's him or something else, but they all met with Judge Cannoni. But their rights, the rights of the people, don't matter. It's all about Karen Read, the accused cop killer's rights. And I think she is a cop killer. I think she's a dark figure, dark psychopath. And they've done such a good job at turning it around on everyone else, and our press is pathetic.
Kearney, on his YouTube show, was to accomplish his oft-stated purpose of prejudicing the jury in that trial.
Let me just talk to the attorneys. From that. Cosgrove, the floor is yours. Mr. Cosgrove, the floor is yours.
I will stop at this point unless Your Honor has questions.
That's fine. All right. Mr. Bradle.
Thank you, Judge. So, Judge, a lot to respond.
So this is Bradle, one of Aiden Carney's two lawyers on this case.
First of all,
Why was that affidavit attached to the motion to compel?
because, Your Honor, that's the basis to show that this information exists. The Commonwealth has not provided any of those things related to Kate Peter. And my colleague, Mr. Betterer, who I know is watching.
Right, because we want to get Kate Peters' phone and we want to embarrass her somehow. And we like to hype up the Free Karen Raiders or a new conspiracy story. So obvious. So that's how they got text messages. That's how they got a grand jury. What did you tell the federal investigators? What did you tell the grand jury? And frankly, if I had volunteered my time from a deep sleep to go looking for my friend, there's no need. Why don't the Free Karen readers ask themselves why there was a need to involve Carrie Roberts and Jen McCabe? Why couldn't Karen Reed could just call 911 herself? Why did she have to mix in other people? Why did she have to have an audience if she knew right exactly where she left John O'Keefe? Why did she have to have an audience to find him? Why did she have to have other people call 911? And the answer is because she needed people to point the finger at. Otherwise, you're the last person to see him alive. You dropped him off there. It's your taillight. It's microscopic pieces of your taillight embedded in John O'Keefe's shirt. It's your taillight all over the scene. Try getting a conspiracy story going that way. It's no other personalities in the story except you, Karen Reed. So she was mixing it all up that morning. Why don't Free Karen readers ask themselves why Karen Reed lies so much? I don't get it. They take these minute details that have other much more plausible explanations than a massive conspiracy involving 50 plus people, and they blow them up.
Here from New York, he wrote a letter to counsel for the Commonwealth in, I want to say, October of 24. That was the first of his 3 letters that he wrote, pointing out all kinds of these things. Ms. Peter has been under oath at other hearings, my client's restraining order hearings against her, where she has said under oath that she's cooperating with the Commonwealth. She has said it many times online that she's cooperating with the Commonwealth. To this day, our third motion to compel, discovery orders, the discovery was due a year ago, Judge, and we still have nothing. And so this woman came to us, Judge, April 21, Patriots Day, came to us Monday, April 21, and we did what a lawyer needs to do in that situation, which is we memorialized it, she signed an affidavit, and we submitted it as further proof upon Mr. Betterow's letter that this information exists. And now we have it from the horse's mouth, Your Honor. So that's the answer to your question. This woman is saying to the affiant that she is working with the Commonwealth, giving all these details about making money, about meeting with these people, about receiving funds. A lot of this has been corroborated by other people on the internet as well, Your Honor, which we're in the process of gathering up. But this affidavit, Judge, was submitted for Mr. Carney. It's got nothing to do with the Reed case. It has information in it that's important to the Reed case. We are not the Reed case. I am here today defending Mr. Carney from these scandalous allegations that just absolutely seek to destroy the First Amendment in Article 16.
Okay, so what's the discovery that you want compelled?
So, Judge, I want all the information from this affidavit and from our motion to compel about Kate Peter. She's a government agent. If this is all true, Your Honor, the DA's office is paying a third-party witness to intimidate witnesses in the Karen Reed and Aiden Carney case.
So what? Maybe we should hold a hearing on that. Okay. So I'll take this under advisement.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll come up with an order as to how we should proceed on that.
Thank you.
Now, as to Mr. Cosgrove, are there any other issues that you see? Any of the other motions that you want to bring to my attention? I know that I received a thumb drive earlier today that I've had a chance to review, and I'm sure Mr. Bradel has a copy of that.
Yes, I provided Mr. Bradel with a copy when I saw him earlier this morning. I don't know that he's seen it. I would like to play it for the court if I could.
Yeah, no, you can play it. So, Mr. Bradel, this is Mr. Cosgrove's motion to have your client's bail revoked, I guess.
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
If I may, Judge?
Well, I'm going to start with Mr. Cosgrove,
sir.
and I'll go over to you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
There's no way. There's no way. Did you just hear him? This is Mr. Cosgrove's motion to have your client's bail revoked. No way is this judge going to revoke bail. No way. Not in Massachusetts. These judges, they care about the accused. It doesn't matter how many times they violate their bail. It's the accused feelings that count. The victims. It doesn't matter that the victims of the harassment have to be re-victimized. Just keep it going and live in fear. Just keep it going. It's Massachusetts. There's no way. There's no way. I'm not convinced. And I'm not even convinced he's going to be convicted of any of these charges either. Sorry, I hate to be a downer, but I'm just not convinced. It's not because I don't think he's guilty of it. It's just I'm not convinced Karen Reed's going to be convicted either. Not with this judge in Massachusetts, but certainly the truth is out there for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. Truth is out there. It's coming out in this trial. Karen Reed ran over John O'Keefe going 24 miles an hour in reverse, approximately. Their foot, 75%, 74.5% rounding up. The gas pedal, almost flooring it, near flooring it, 3/4 to flooring it. You can see her car slows down too when she hits something. She hits something, smashes her taillight, tells Jen McCabe that she smashed her taillight before she ever drove her car into reverse and love tapped John O'Keefe's car. And there's no need to even reverse that way in that driveway. You can go straight back to the fence. She has to turn her wheel into John O'Keefe's car because she's got to get another story as to how she smashed her taillight. But just keep screaming, Jen, 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 Carrie, Carrie, Carrie. Get everyone in a fierce state, mix it all up. Thank God for Peggy O'Keefe telling them to write a timeline. Otherwise, how could you remember anything? But you remember things more clearly that are connected to trauma. Did an interview with Prosecutor John Lewin where he talking about Elizabeth Loftus in memory, and talks about how when he was little, he saw a poodle being run over by a car. He goes, I may not remember the color of the car, but I remember the moment of, the poodle. I remember the poodle being hit. It's like burned in your brain. It's why you remember where you were when 9/11 happened. I was in New York City when it happened. I'll never forget the moment I heard. Or JFK or any of those kind of traumatic events, they get burned in your brain. So when Jennifer McCabe says she's 100% sure that she heard Alan Jackson's client, I love the way she put that, your client, she calls her Miss Reed. Talk about distancing language. Karen Reed say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. It was shocking to her. And what did she do? She tried to protect Karen Reed. What are you saying? Because Karen Reed was doing her best at acting crazy. She had to get sectioned. So she didn't have to talk to the cops. Daddy Reed made sure of that. She gets sectioned. But she didn't actually want to do any of the things. I mean, she got herself out of that so fast. It's so clear to everyone that she was faking in that hospital. They think there's a little bit of a risk of you doing anything to yourself. They're keeping you. So amazing that she got out as quickly as she did. And freaking Yannetti with that line to the court. She didn't want to give a urine sample because she had her period. She didn't want to get in a hospital gown. She didn't want to actually do any of the things that you do when you're being checked out. Once she got there, she didn't want to do anything. Why? Because she just wanted to be there so she didn't have to talk to the police. She could protect herself, keep the ruse going, but she didn't want to actually do anything that would incriminate her. Sort of goes against the fact, it was a bummer for her that she got her blood taken at the hospital. But she knew her urine was like 95% alcohol. Of course, she didn't want to hand it over. Had nothing to do with it. They had to watch her do it. If you have a problem, you'd say, well, I have my period. It's really uncomfortable. And they'd make some other kind of, they might make some kind of, I don't know what. Try to make you feel more comfortable. So here's Aiden Carney's clip. They're going to play it.
As Your Honor may know, I'm pretty much a computer illiterate, but fortunately, advocate has stepped into the breach and helped me out here. Perfect.
Mr. Bridle, you want to come up? Sure.
Let me get a better way that I can show you this clip. Hold on one second. I'm going to take a quick break and line it up. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Mic check, Roberta strides through the static haze. True crime Gotham where the shadows play their plays. Fraudsters fold when a spotlight beams. Fact-focused queen busting propaganda schemes. Glass shatter lies echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Post, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing she's the anti-fraud light. Hard task warrior, dissecting state and defense. Twisted innocence, claims breaking pretense. Gotham's truth seeker cuts clean with the blade. Facts in the forefront, no justice gets swayed. Cold facts drip heavy, real talk unfurls. Cracking cases open like oysters with pearls. Innocence gimmicks crumble to dust in the wind. For victims, her creed, justice till the end. Headphones blazing, she drops heavy artillery. Narratives twisted, meet blunt object civility. Roberta got receipts that unravel the ploy, exposing the lies these fraudsters deploy. Glass shatters lies, echoes through the streets. Standing for victims, giving voice their beats. NYC Post, truth sharp as night. Roberta exposing she's the anti-fraud light.
Thanks, Marianne Nizzo, for reminding me. Valerie. Yeah, I saw it. Got the whole update. Valerie, the dachshund, who was stranded on Kangaroo Island and did very well, living rough. They have snakes and spiders and all sorts of things that could take you out on that island. This mini dachshund, she escaped when her owners brought her there and was over 500 days in Kangaroo Island. She is back with her owners. They got her. Yeah, I was listening to the volunteers from Kangaroo Island talk about it last night. Yeah, the dachshund, mini dachshund, Lazy Susan, really cute. Check out I put up a video on my Instagram at Roberta Glass Instagram. I think that's my Instagram handle. I hope it is. You can find me on there, I think, by doing a search. So of her in the wild, like you'd see her with like her little ears flapping, going through a field. And they tried to trap her a bunch of times and failed, but they said that it's going to be an adjustment because she's been in survival mode for so long. Yeah. Valerie is now no longer a fugitive, no longer tiny yet at large. She's home. So they put her in a room. They had a room with a trap door, and it had her things from home, her crate, things with her mom, her owner's smell on it. And she just still evaded capture for a long time. And they were trying to bribe her with chicken and tuna. Okay, here we go. So this is the video where Aiden Carney, you're saying this is witness harassment. Here it is.
Tiny Elvis sends $10, goes, the defense needs to hammer Tully on the stand this trial. He is literally involved in every aspect of the case. I agree. Tully is the mastermind of all this shit. Fuck that corrupt piece of shit. It pisses me off that he gets away with this shit. Fuck him. He was rehomed, but he's still involved in my case and tried to have me locked up again last month. He can go get fucked. Him and his stupid wife and his stupid family. I hope they all fucking die in a fire. Fuck them. Next up, not that anyone, that's not a threat. It's just what I hope for. You know what I mean? If I found out tomorrow that Brian Tully was burned alive in the most painful way possible, I would be so happy. Like, that'd be awesome. That'd be great. I hope he dies. Like, I hope pain and misery happens to him after what he's done to me, what he's done to Karen Reed, what he's done to my children. Like, I really fucking hope, like, I would get so fucking hard if you told me Brian Tully died in a car accident tomorrow. When I heard Nicholas Garino got hit by a car, I'm like, you know what? That's fair. I don't want him to die because he's not like the main villain, but he's bad. Like, him getting hit by a car was actually good. Like, that was actually a good thing that Nicholas Garino was hit by a car. That's called karma. He was hit by a karma because he deserved that for what he did to Sandra Birchmore, what he's done to Karen Reed, what he's done to me. Fuck it. But Brian Tully actually deserves to get hit by a car and die. That's the difference between them. Like, die. And so I don't give a fuck if he dies. I don't give a fuck who he leaves behind. I hope it's painful. I hope every single waking moment for the rest of his life is miserable because that's what Jesus would want me to do. Okay? I don't, this fairy tale about, I go to church every Sunday and that's what Jesus talks to me. And that's what he says. Revenge. So anyway, that's that. All right, back to this.
Okay, so that's Aiden Carney talking about Brian Tully, the investigator in Karen Reed's case and his case. Please hit the thumbs up while you're here. Support the channel. Send me a Venmo, buy me a coffee, all great ways to support the channel. Or send a super chat, or you can become a patron, get access to content you won't get anywhere else. I'm going to be giving away, thanks to Tammy, I'm going to be giving away memberships, Patreon memberships, coming up in my live streams, Karen Reed live streams. You just got to be there to win it. All right. Thanks, Tammy, for doing that. Back to, links are always in the description of the episode. Back to, I hope everyone's hit the thumbs up. Back to the hearing. So you can kind of hear it faintly in the background while they're watching it. It's kind of high-tech thing that they have here. And they play some more clips. Is that some more clips, or is that the same clip? Hold on.
Okay, thank you.
So for the record, Your Honor.
Lazy Susan, this hearing was yesterday. Lazy Susan's asking when this was. So this was going on around 3 or 4 o'clock, same time as the Karen Reed trial. I just can't cover both. I did cover the Donna Adelson hearing right after the Karen Reed trial was over. But I didn't get all 3 yesterday, so we're going over this one. I thought it was telling. He said the timing of this right before Jennifer McCabe testifies just shows the symbiotic relationship, as Hank Brennan calls it, between Karen Reed, Aiden Carney, and that's the subject of today's episode.
I may or may not be aware that Nicholas Farino was another trooper in another.
Yeah, I was on, who is that? Tell me who Garino is.
Really? Why do you think so? I'm not convinced. What do you know about this judge, and why do you think so? Beach Nance says, Roberta, I believe this judge, after consideration, will revoke his bail. Let me know why, and I'll pull it up. I know he has it under consideration, but I'm just not convinced.
He's a trooper in the Karen Reed case, and he's an electronic.
Okay, that's okay. Beach Nance says something about the way the judge shook his head. Okay. We should get used to it. He's going to hear a lot more. Hold on one second. Do you guys hear that? You're upset too, little dude? You hear that? It's my cat. I got to let my cat out. I'll be right back. Hold on. Has anyone in my audience made a cat door out of a regular door? I need a cat door so badly. I'd be so curious if it's doable. Seems like a pretty thick door, but I know other people in my audience have cats with problems with doors.
Expert that's did the analysis of the 2 devices of Mr. Kearney's that were already searched and that aren't really the subject of this whole painting thing, and also did the analysis in the other case that he mentioned and has been defamed as supposedly missing all kinds of communications, which is not true. He was, as is alluded to, in an unfortunate car accident that you hear Mr.
Oh, he was in a car accident. That makes it a little different. See, I live in New York City. I do know people in this area, but dialed into the gossip, the town gossip, the way Aiden Carney is. I think he's got eyes and ears everywhere. Janet Gardner, thank you so much. Says, thank you for all you do. I get tired just thinking about all you do. I know we all appreciate the insights and details. I know I couldn't keep up with all of it on my own. I'm so glad to see you, Janet. Thanks so much.
Kearney taking pleasure in. So let me start with a couple of things, Your Honor, if I could just have a moment.
Yep, take your time.
Having had to put this together at the last minute because the presentation just came to my attention the other day, I didn't have directly in front of me the orders that Your Honor entered, although I think I summarized them correctly in my memorandum. But as I understand it, according to the docket, on March 5th of this year, after I initially brought this to Your Honor's attention, the docket entry records that the court orders defendant to have no contact, direct or indirect, through third parties with any of the witnesses or victims in this case, and 2, stay 100 yards away from any victim's residence or place of work. Defendant to sense, bail warning read. Now, as I recall, that was sort of a provisional order, and at that time, even more so than today, I had just got the information relative to Mr. Kearney's antics outside D&E Pizza in Canton. Mr. Bradle hadn't really had time to absorb it. I didn't have police reports to give him. So Your Honor may remember that you put it over to the following day for hearing. After hearing that day, the docket reads as follows: additional conditions of release. 1, stay away, no contact, direct or indirect, with the named witnesses in his Superior Court cases. 2, stay 100 yards away from D&E Pizza in Canton, Mass. 3, behave in appropriate manner while in any courthouse or within 300 feet of the building. Defendant to sense, bail warning read. So with that clarification, Your Honor, I'd like to begin. We indicted Mr. Kearney because, in our view, he was engaged in a campaign of intimidating the witnesses. After we indicted him, one of those methods he essentially ceased, and that was leading parades of automobiles outside witnesses' homes and places of business. But he did not otherwise decease. So what we have here, Your Honor, is the most extreme recent example of Mr. Kearney's behavior. And if I wanted to bring these to the court's attention, I could probably do it about 4 times a week. But just to give you some other examples, if I might, of Mr. Kearney's latest hits.
Go right ahead.
Within a week or 2 of the last time I brought his behavior to your attention, he was on a live broadcast mocking Elizabeth Proctor, a witness in the Reed case, for thinking she was blue, unquote, or a member of a blue family, because family members were police officers, and because she gave oral sex to her husband, who was a police officer. And he went on in the oral sex vein for some time. One can imagine the effect that that has on a witness, knowing that she's being humiliated in front of hundreds, perhaps thousands of people.
Objection.
Objection. It's your own client. It's your own client's words. What are you objecting to? So he's talking about how he went in front of D&E Pizza with this other lawyer there. Tanya Vincent says, hey, Tanya, genuine question. Why are so many YouTube lawyers free Karen readers? Because first of all, they're not very good lawyers. And so this is their job. And if you want to make money, that's how you make money. And you grow your audience, because there will be conspiracy people and innocence fraudsters will always be hungry to hear more, because they rely on you to hear this concocted, fantastical narrative. I can't stray from the record and the truth. So it never changes. But for them, it's always changing, always growing. There's always different things you can make up, bring in, focus on, make some minutia hugely important, and then have some fantastical theory connected to it. That's why these innocence fraud documentaries do so well, whether it's about the West Memphis 3 or talking about the Paradise Lost documentaries. It's also where the awards are. Talking about Serial, winning a Peabody about Haymon Lee's killer. It's a whole thing. It's a whole money-driven movement. It's also ideologically driven. They want to take apart our legal system, make it so nobody does more than 20 years. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. So they make money on the entertainment side and books, podcasts, movies, YouTube accounts, podcasts. And then that puts pressure on the actual court system to free these killers. And then when if Karen Reed is acquitted of this, she will sue in our civil courts for wrongful arrest, wrongful imprisonment, sue the police, and often they get multi-million-dollar payouts. And what happened when this movement first really started gaining steam, a lot of these police officers would say, well, it's going to cost us more to fight it than it is to cost us more to pay it out than it is to fight it, And they would just pay it out with their insurance. So it's like an insurance scam. It's like a slip and fall scam. And they're still doing that. And they're like, what they didn't expect is that this movement is like pigeons. They always come back for more. There's no punishment for going to the court with false allegations of innocence, sometimes these judges, I was just listening to Martin Pribe's Crooked City Substack. He's doing podcasts on there about a case of a woman who killed her kid. She went for a certificate of innocence. He says, sometimes these judges just sign these certificates of innocence. Then it's really hard not to pay them out civilly. Once these judges, they don't know anything about the case. And the prosecutor is usually long gone by the time they're asking for these certificates of innocence. Do not get fooled by our media when you hear about someone who's been falsely convicted and let out or paid out. Always go to the court documents. They're the most unbiased source out there. You can read the prosecution side, you can read the defense side, make up your own mind. But I just found it to be one scam after the next, one guilty person after the next when I've dug into the legal documents of these cases. That's a long explanation, Tanya. But yeah, the money and the following, the engagement. And any good lawyer would be in the courtroom making money. I mean, you can make so much more than you can make on YouTube. Robert, I'm hitting the thumbs up helps the channel. Thank you. Hitting the thumbs up, sharing helps the channel. I really appreciate it. I am a one-woman show besides my fantastic moderators. Thank you, Taterbug, for moderating too. I appreciate it. And Maestro, I am a one-woman show. Everything you see on this channel, I do myself. So it's a lot. It's a lot.
Your Honor. This
It's not that much. I can handle it. But it can be a little
has been dealt with by the court.
like when I'm doing a trial all day and then I'm doing a show at night. It can be a lot.
Yeah, he's given me some history, so it's overruled. I'll listen to your recitation.
I informed the court the last time, and the court viewed it, of his show-up and antics before the Albert's Pizza Shop. I have personally routinely heard him refer to the presiding justice online of the Reed trial as a cunt. He engages in constant defamation, for example, of Jennifer McCabe as a murderer, and he has described the others as murderers. And in general, he is aware and has remarked, I think this is another thing I brought to Your Honor's attention the last time, has remarked with satisfaction that the results of his broadcasts have made it difficult for these people to go out in public without being harassed and without being mocked. I would suggest that Mr. Kearney...
I mean, it's so telling. Hold on. Let me turn up. Sorry, I just had to put on my air conditioner for a second. It must sound like I'm in a tunnel. It's so telling that Aiden Carney says that it makes him hard. I mean, he's such a sexual deviant, such a psychopath. The idea of someone's death and destruction makes him hard. It's like so dark figure. He's thrilled that the witnesses can't go out in public because that's just an exercise of his power. It must make you feel really powerful when you spread a falsehood and people believe it and you turn a whole town against people who've done nothing. People's only fault with Jennifer McCabe and Carrie Roberts is that they knew Karen Reed. That was their only fault, through their friend John O'Keefe, and that they wanted to help out of concern for John and out of concern for Karen Reed. I mean, what a nightmare to live through, what he's put the witnesses through. I mean, who would want to be a witness in a murder trial like this? Not me. Not me. Who would want to have your phones gone through and every little detail of yourself gone out in the public and have no control over what people say or your image or what you do? Like, to be notorious for just wanting to help when your friend was murdered. And I think that if he doesn't play after redirect, Karen Reed saying either Jen McCabe's going down or I'm going down, the most telling statement in that whole ID Discovery TV show, I will be shocked, because that seems to me the perfect time to play that clip. We know he's using it. He's got to play that, right? Don't you think he's got to play that, Hank Brennan? Right after Jennifer McCabe walks off the stand, it's going to be either Jen McCabe's going down or I'm going down. Don't you think that's coming up? Thanks so much, Terry, for the super sticker. I appreciate it.
Wanted this communication to be conveyed to Lieutenant Tully, knew to almost a certainty that Lieutenant Tully would see it, wishing death in the most horrible fashion to him and his wife, and knew that would excite others of Mr. Kearney's followers to pile on, so to speak. I'd like to introduce an exhibit, Your Honor. I provided a copy to Mr. Bradle. I'll give him an opportunity to object, but I would suggest it could be marked for identification.
Yeah, we'll mark it for identification.
And
if you could just give it to Soraya.
Mr. Bradle wants to.
Okay.
I do object, Judge, based on relevance, materiality, foundation.
Would you give it to Soraya? Okay.
Thank you.
Hold on one second. Someone's at the door. The doorman's ringing. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Doorman calling. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm back. All right. Little piece of my life. Why is the doorman calling? We don't know. Okay.
And just so we're clear, Judge, I don't even think the Commonwealth is suggesting this has anything to do with Mr. Carney sending that. Which, of course, he did not.
Yeah, it must have been my couch delivery maestro. My couch. Finally, it's paying off. I thought that that low view numbers and a limited audience was thanks enough for being on the right side of this case. but I get a couch too. And the general insults I get every day from the card readers. I thought that was thanks enough. So funny. I mean, just no irony. Like, no irony in the free Karen readers at all. Like, no sense of humor at all in some of their messages. And they'll be like all misspelled, calling you a dummy and like barely readable.
Well, I'm happy to agree with what Mr. Bradle, with what Mr. Bradle just said, Your Honor. Okay. But it is always.
I'd love a new couch. My boyfriend's friend saw me on Court TV and he was like, "What are you sitting on? What's that piece of leather? That leather couch?" He's like, "That thing is so old." He's like, "What animal died?" It's like, we need a new couch. We do need a new couch. So I'm very happy to get one. He's like, "That thing looks ridiculous."
It is always Mr. Kearney's response that when these witnesses are deluged with harassment immediately following his broadcast and thereafter, that, oh, of course, he had nothing to do with it. He didn't send it. But he knows what happened. And I would suggest to you, Your Honor, that this is relevant, not because Mr. Kearney sent it, but one, because the court could conclude that it was a logical outcome of the kind of scorn and hatred poured out upon Lieutenant Tully and his family. And two, that Mr. Tully, Lieutenant Tully, who is well familiar with these reactions, upon reading or listening to or being informed of Mr. Kearney's broadcast, could reasonably fear reactions from these sort of nuts directed at his wife and family. And I suggest that his reasonable fear is evidence of intimidation of a witness. And on that basis, Your Honor, I would ask that it be marked as an exhibit.
We'll mark the disc as the next exhibit.
And I would further ask that it be impounded, because I don't want the comments made in that out there to give any other people.
Yeah, I'll impound it.
Encouragement.
Margaret, is the disc. Yeah.
Did everybody hear Robert Cosgrove? Judge Cosgrove, not the judge, but he's the special prosecutor in this case, but he's also a judge. Called the free Karen readers nuts. He's like, he has a reasonable fear of these nuts. these personality disordered people. Some of them deranged and deluded, some of them really dangerous with criminal histories of their own. And then there's just the good people who got duped mixed in with them. It's a whole, let's not dehumanize them. But a lot of them are really like people who beat up their girlfriends or wives, gone to prison. I mean, Karen Reed's witnesses have criminal backgrounds. Eva says, do you think Jen apologized too many times? I noticed that too. I said, why is she apologizing? I think that must just be certainly a woman thing. You don't hear men apologize the way women do like that over and over. It's like if you get into that habit, you don't break it. I think it's just a habit of hers. I thought it made her look really human. Made her credible. I don't think it made her I thought it made her look human, but a bit oversaid. Yeah, it was a bit oversaid. It was odd. But it gave you sort of I'm sure one juror noticed, at least one juror noticed, gave you a feel of her character. Certainly Karen Reed, psychopathic Karen Reed, narcissistic psychopath. I mean, if I can be redundant, all psychopaths are also narcissists. And Aiden Carney apologized for nothing, even when they should. So certainly was a contrast. Didn't make her look criminal. That's for sure. Didn't look like someone who would take part in a 50, 60 plus conspiracy, person conspiracy.
Yeah.
So I don't want to belabor this, Your Honor.
Can I just go back with you, Attorney Cosgrove?
Yes.
As to Exhibit A, could you explain that to me a little bit more?
One you just marked?
This one right here.
Yes. At about whatever time is indicated on the top of the email, I received that email from Lieutenant Tully indicating that he had received that communication from this person who, so far as I know, is unknown to all of us, whether his identification is genuine or pseudonymous. I have no knowledge, and that he received it through LinkedIn. And that's about all the background that I can give Your Honor.
To your knowledge, though, this has, well, strike that. What's the relation?
To my knowledge, I do not allege that Mr. Kearney personally sent it.
Okay. I guess that's what I'm asking.
I allege, number one, that it may well be, one could infer reasonably that it is the result of Mr. Kearney's broadcast.
Okay,
He provoked
I get
it.
you.
And two, I infer that one could infer that Lieutenant Tully reasonably anticipated these kinds of responses. You know, I don't know if this nut is going to be motivated to go out and try to assist in a car accident or in burning things down. And, you know, when somebody says to an audience that Jesus told him, Jesus wants revenge, how does that play in revenge in the form of somebody being burnt up?
Right. I mean, great point. God's on our side. God wants Karen Reed to get away with her murder. God's on the murderer's side. And this is something that the wrongful conviction movement uses a lot. They use the word justice. So you're taking part, you're creating a justice, when in reality, you're taking part in a huge injustice. You're re-victimizing the victim's family. You're reversing a rightful conviction, or you're helping a killer evade a conviction here. And taking part in witness harassment, Jesus wants you to do it. It's like, how do we know not? And he's getting things on his LinkedIn page, Tully. He's getting threats on his LinkedIn page. I mean, I had one, you know, when you make stuff, right? So I pissed off one creator because I was making videos going through it's a different legal system, but in Italy, Amanda Knox, Raffaele Sollecito, and Rudy Gooday's conviction for the murder of Meredith Kircher. And it was like, constant, just constant, emails, FU, Twitter posts, YouTube comments, just like you're just not used to that much negativity in your personal life. No one is. Like, you don't go to the grocery store and people say, "Oh, you look ugly and you're stupid. What's wrong with you, you hag? You mouth breathing hag." Like, it's very rare. Like, you're only going to have that kind of negativity maybe like handful of times in your life, but to get it constantly all day long, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. It doesn't feel good.
In the most painful way. Mr. Kearney expresses concern that I gather what Lieutenant Tully is supposed to have done to his children is arrest Mr. Kearney on one occasion pursuant to a warrant at the bus stop after Mr. Kearney dropped his children off. If Mr. Bradle had looked at the discovery that the Commonwealth turned over of the body cameras of the arrest, he would observe the officers carefully waited for the children to get on the bus and be on their way before their father was arrested. But yet, this...
Right. So the bus comes at the end of the drive, like the bus used to pick me up for school. It's at the end of the driveway. So they pick him up, or the bus goes the other way. So it's across the street. So Aiden Carney used that to his advantage. And Innocence Fraud Watch wrote a really good blog about it, saying, Aiden Carney's exploiting his children, saying, "How could Tully arrest me at my children's bus stop, The bus was long gone before he was arrested. He was in his driveway. It's not he's like, well, the bus stops across the street. It's not your children's bus stop. They had gone. You were out there dropping them off at the bus. It's your driveway you were arrested in, not your children's bus stop." It makes it sound like he has some kind of bus stop up the road and they purposely arrested him at the bus stop. And he said they did it in front of his kids. He didn't do it in front of his kids. He just uses his kids for sympathy and to whip up hatred towards the police.
It's continually held out as a crime, while at the same time, Mr. Kearney has no compunction about wishing death on Lieutenant Tully's children and wife. So, Your Honor, I make those two arguments. One, that this was posted with a sure and certain knowledge and intent that it comes to Lieutenant Tully's attention, which in fact has happened. And two, I make the point that a no contact order means no contact. The content, before Your Honor hears the First Amendment argument, the content of the contact is irrelevant as far as whether there was a violation of the order. And I'd just like to call Your Honor's attention, if I can do it, to a case that I cited in my memorandum to Your Honor. I believe I cited it for another purpose, but it's O'Brien versus Borowski at 461 Mass 14. In the course of that case, the court refers to the Cho case on page 424 of the opinion, and it summarizes that case as follows. The defendant produced flyers with the word missing printed in large type across the top, between which was a photograph of a former girlfriend who had broken up with him and offensive sexual remarks about her, and he then hung the flyers in several places in her high school. He was convicted under a statute which criminally punishes persons who, with offensive and disorderly acts of language, accost or annoy persons of the opposite sex. We, that's the appeals court, concluded that the defendant's criminal conviction for this communication did not violate the First Amendment because it was a true threat that had no expressive purpose, but was instead intended to get back at the victim by placing her in fear that she might suffer some sexual harm or wind up among the missing.
Oh, just that? Just some kind of harm? Just be raped? Or end up missing? Just that. Just that. Just small little worries like that. Thanks, Debbie Martin. I appreciate it. Scary. Scary. What a scary position to be in.
Your Honor can look a long time, I think, at the language of Mr. Kearney's message in an attempt to distinguish it from the Cho case in terms of the language having no expressive purpose, but instead being intended to get back at Lieutenant Tully by placing him in fear that he or his family might suffer some harm. In fact, what other meaning are we to draw from revenge? But apart from that, Your Honor, even if there's some far-fetched First Amendment phrase somewhere lurking in this message, the other material is not protected, and the violation of the order does not consist of the language, but simply the context. Now, the other string in my bow, Your Honor, is the argument that this is again a violation of the intimidation of the witness statute. Mr. Kearney and I have gone back and forth on that statute and how it should be construed and how it should not be construed. Your Honor currently has it under advisement. You see my arguments in my memorandum here with respect to this case. I won't belabor them in oral argument. So I will rest at that point.
Okay.
Mr.
Bredel, tell me about that word revenge and how am I supposed to interpret that?
Judge, this is not a threat. This is not contact. This is satire. This is all protected. I am so sick of having to come before a court because of Norfolk County and talk about speech that Norfolk County doesn't write.
Not to anybody else. Just tell.
He's like, please, not to the free Karen readers. Please don't play to the cameras. Your Honor, this is a First Amendment right. So this is an argument that they often make when people like Alex Jones gets in trouble, Tucker Carlson, that they play a character, that this is satire because we have wider laws for satire. I'm playing a character named Tucker Carlson. I think Rachel Maddow did the same thing. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I haven't looked deeply into it. I've just heard that. So take that with a grain of salt about Rachel Maddow. But I'm pretty certain that Alex Jones made this argument and Tucker Carlson did too. And I've heard that Rachel Maddow did too, that they're playing a character that is satire. And so this is sort of like First Amendment, trying to hide under the First Amendment. You know, our news cycle has gotten so fast, and also to push different agendas, and a lot of the money has gone out of it. So they don't have as long to research, especially when it comes to crime. And you really, I mean, it takes a long time to dig through all these court documents if it's an old case. It's much easier to just take a defense attorney's word for it and write a love letter piece for, you know, a killer or a sexual predator. So you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, says Debbie Martin. Thanks so much. Hope so. Hope so. Someone wrote, the truth always comes out in the end. I think it was at the end of last live stream. It's like, I hope so. I hope it does. I hope the truth wins. It doesn't always seem to win. It has a way of sneaking out, though. It does have a way of sneaking out eventually. But we certainly have a lot of American myths in this country. And I find this so fascinating that this court house that Karen Reed is being tried in tried Sacco and Vanzetti, which is now an American myth, that they were innocent of killing two people in a robbery, and they were convicted. This is the myth. And they were convicted because of anti-immigrant sentiment, when in reality, they were guilty, and they did hold radical beliefs, radical anarchist beliefs. But that had nothing to do with their conviction, except that it was part of their radical lifestyle to steal, rob, and steal, have guns, kill people. But when they were executed for their crimes, people were up in arms and protesting. Ditto going way back, but ditto the Rosenbergs. Karen Reed's tried and failed to attach her crime to some kind of Black Lives Matter movement, but a lot of innocence fraudsters for the wrongful conviction movement are certainly involved. And certainly she's done a good job of making this about a war on the police and the blue wall of silence, and adding her case to the war against the police, which is so much a part of this movement.
Tell me about that word, revenge.
Revenge. Excuse me 1 second.
Yep, no, take your time. You can confer with your client.
Judge, my client is allowed to have hopes and desires and wishes that you or me or Mr. Cosgrove don't agree with their own life or are repelled by. You know, why do we keep having to come back here? I don't know what it must be like to wake up on the wrong side of the First Amendment every day. This is protected speech, Your Honor, over and over again. The Supreme Court has spoken for decades and decades. Brandenburg, Watts, Chaplinsky, O'Brien v. Borowski, Welch. Judge, this is a waste of this court's time. This is intentional infliction of emotional distress on my client. The Commonwealth has been rebuffed over and over and over on this exact scenario. He is not contacted.
LOL. So when you harass someone and you violate the conditions of your bail, so it's not just a free speech issue. He has bail conditions not to reoffend. And you wouldn't want to even talk about anyone involved in this case in a negative way that's involved in your witness harassment case. If you're smart, I mean, it's such a dumb thing to do. So this is not someone off the street, and you're putting fear into them. It's very close. It's a threat. Saying Jesus wants you to die, and if you're doing Jesus work if you kill this person, maybe accidentally in your car by proxy. It's and you know what? Hold on, what it says to me is that Aiden Carney understands so deeply the motivations and the actions of Karen Reed. Why did he pick car crash for Tully? This is how Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe, with her car. So she had plausible deniability via proxy, via her car. So she had plausible deniability that it could have been an accident. And then she also had the drinking thing. She can cover it with the drinking thing. Oh, yeah, I was drinking. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't even remember. But Karen Reed's own ego betrayed her, and she had to say she remembered because she loves to brag about this crime. She wants everyone to know that she did it while denying it. Did you love John O'Keefe? No, we were dating. I hate him. Message is, I hate him. I hate his family. And revenge is the name of the game for Karen Reed. It's the name of the game for Aiden Carney. Get revenge on everyone who got me. And get revenge on everyone who knows this case really well and knows I'm wrong. Get revenge. Put them in fear. Dominate them. Put them in fear. And that was the way Karen Reed went about it. They're going to try to get me. Oh, no, I'm going to get them. For what? It's just, yeah, he understands. He understands how she did this crime. I'm just saying, if a car just happened to run him down, it would be a good thing. It would be what Jesus wanted. If a car just I'm not saying he should be shot. Just if a car accidentally, like Karen Reed accidentally, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, put her foot 75% down on the gas pedal, put her car in reverse, going 24 miles an hour, and hit him and left him to die in a blizzard in Massachusetts' 7th worst storm ever, snowstorm ever. That would just be an accident. That would be Jesus's will. So you just can't claim First Amendment rights when you're already in this issue. This is already part of your bail. And this is personally very threatening when you're out on bail for witness harassment charges. He's pretending Aiden Carney is just like Joe Blow, unconnected to his own case.
Acting a witness. He is not threatening a witness. He is talking about someone who has destroyed his life, Your Honor. He is allowed to lash out back. And the First Amendment
destroyed his life? He's never made more money. He's never been more powerful. And our media just keeps feeding into it. Sure, he's got to show up for a few court hearings, but within a couple months of covering this case, he was driving a new Lexus. Otherwise, he's just a guy with a small blog and a small following, or a medium-sized following, depends on how you look at it. He's just making a living. Now he's making real money. Real money. He's in with the bigwigs. He's going out to lunch with Alan Jackson and David Yannetti in fancy places. This has ruined his life. Spare me. He's ruined his own life. Who asked him to harass witnesses?
Every declarant this room to talk without fear, without the kind of fear that this county has inflicted on Mr. Carney over and over and over again. And it has to stop, Your Honor. This is First Amendment protected speech. I don't care. We don't like it. I don't care.
Okay, there's the innocence fraudster move that they all do. Reverse everything. Whatever your client is doing, blame it on the state. I think we need a song here. I think we need a song. I think I'll cue it up on the break. But what a thing. That the Commonwealth is putting Aiden Carney in fear? Well, it's Your Honor, it's not the witnesses that are in fear, it's the Commonwealth. threatening to revoke bail and making my client afraid because of his own actions. How dare the Commonwealth make my client responsible for their own actions? They're putting them in fear for what he might say. Yeah, you should be watching your mouth and watching your behavior. Aiden Carney, you're out on bail. This is wild. Wild. Blame it on the Commonwealth. Anyone? It reminds me of this song. Anybody remember this song? Hold on. The refrain from this song? When in doubt, blame who? I'm gonna have to add to it. Blame the Commonwealth, blame the police, blame the people who got you.
Criminal spout, legalese, lying by profession. When in doubt, blame the police. When my con gets exposed, I act deaf and dumb. Blame sudden onset amnesia. Got the press under my thumb. Drinks with my killer client at Smith and Walensky. Check paid for by fans, my elbow on the killer's knee. I'm a lawyer, a criminal lawyer. Think like a criminal spout, legalese, lying by profession. When in doubt, blame the police. When my con gets exposed, I act deaf and dumb. Blame sudden onset amnesia. Got the press under my thumb. Drinks with my killer client at Smith and Walensky. Check paid for by fans, my elbow on the killer's knee.
All right, back to this. Back to is this Bradle? Getting upset. How dare when you have nothing to say, just blame the other guy. Just put it all on the other guy. Everything you're doing, put it on the other guy. Everything you're doing. You remember Alessi? Yeah, we're not violating discovery. The Commonwealth has violated discovery. When they made a correction, when they made a small change to a document we got months ago. I've heard the free Karen readers deleting phones. How about getting rid of your phones after someone tells you it's okay to get rid of your phone in a case? What about destroying it? Yeah, I would throw my phone into a freaking volcano if they told me it was okay to, if it involved something with Karen Reed. Not that I'm doing anything wrong. I just value my privacy. God knows what, every unflattering picture of me Sure, you see memes with all the pictures of my cats on my phone. Sad cat lady. Roberta's a sad cat lady. I mean, what? Whatever they find, they use, right? No thanks. No thanks.
Mr. Kearney and I have gone back and forth on that statute and how it should be construed and how it should not be construed.
Watch the haters clip that. Watch the haters clip that. Where even Roberta admits she's a sad cat lady. Listen to this clip. Okay, here he is.
Your Honor currently has it under advisement. You see my arguments in my memorandum here with respect to this case. I won't belabor them in oral argument.
Mr. Cosgrove don't agree with their own life or are repelled by. You know, why do we keep having to come back here? I don't know what it must be like to wake up on the wrong side of the First Amendment every day. This is protected speech, Your Honor, over and over again. The Supreme Court has spoken.
I would prefer to, what would you prefer, guys? To wake up on the wrong side of the First Amendment or to wake up with Aiden Carney and his devotees harassing you every day? I'll take waking up on the quote unquote wrong side of the First Amendment, if that's what you want to call it. I'll take that over, if those are the two choices, I'll take being perceived as being on the wrong side of the First Amendment rather than being harassed by Aiden Carney and his bunch of ex-cons, psychopaths, devotees, and a few nice people. But the ones doing his bidding, the flying monkeys, are dark personalities, dark figures. Look at the dark personalities that have connected themselves to this case for cash, the ARCA witnesses, Daniel Wolf especially. Reminds me of American Psycho. Jason Bateman. You can just see him comparing his business cards. My dog named Bo. Oh, it's a cute dog. Love you and your content, Roberta. Best chat. Thanks. I do have the best chat. Okay, we're on the wrong side of the... How does it feel to wake up on the wrong side of the First Amendment? That's where we were last.
For decades and decades. Brandenburg, Watts, Chaplinsky, O'Brien v. Borowski, Welch. Judge, this is a waste of this court's time. This is intentional infliction of emotional distress on my client. The Commonwealth has been rebuffed over and over and over on this exact scenario. He is not contacting a witness. He is not threatening a witness. He is talking about someone who has destroyed his life, Your Honor. He is allowed to lash out back. And the First Amendment grants every declarant this room to talk without fear, without the kind of fear that this county has inflicted on Mr. Carney over and over and over again. And it has to stop, Your Honor. This is First Amendment protected speech. I don't care if we don't like it. I don't care. It doesn't matter. He is not threatening.
Yeah, Mickey, I do benefit from the First Amendment, but I don't harass witnesses in the cases I talk about. And believe me, I have a lot of people I talk about, but nobody's ever. I don't have 16 witness harassment counts, not in active cases, not in a court case that's going on, not ever. Strangely, I can state my opinion without threatening anyone and without putting anyone in fear. Isn't that wild how that happens? I can exercise my First Amendment rights without anyone feeling afraid.
Tully. He is not contacting Tully. He is a reporter with his own style of satire that is addressing a large audience, and he is doing a major service pointing out over and over and over again corruption in this county, perversion of the First Amendment, abuse of the witness intimidation statute, Your Honor. This has got to stop. I don't want to come in here anymore and pretend like, gee whiz, this is a close call. It's not, Your Honor. This is First Amendment protected activity that the court, I have every confidence that this court is going to vindicate. This cannot happen over and over again. I get a motion to...
He went to the Alan Jackson School of Lawyering. Just yell. Just yell. When in doubt, just yell. Just start yelling and pretending you're outraged. But he has his own little flair to it too. He throws some actual law cases in there. Kudos to him for doing them. I don't know what they are. I'd have to look them up. It's like Smith, Your Honor. It's like Jones, Your Honor. It's like Beechnut, Your Honor. It's like Stevenson, Your Honor. And I'm outraged. Remember when Alan Jackson tried to be outraged? Here's his own client calling people, see you next Tuesdays. And he's like, I'm outraged. I'm outraged. I'm such a shrinking violet. I'm so outraged by the language in these mean text messages. He cannot follow the rule of law, Alan Jackson. He has to cheat to win. He cannot stop with these statements in court. Thank you, Lackadaisical. 10 memberships will be handed out at random. I feel like I should have show biz music for that. Dun, 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 dun. So if you're in the chat and you're commenting, you might get a free membership thanks to Lackadaisical. Thank you. Right? I'm outraged. And then there's Yannetti. I'm outraged. He does the over-enunciation and the whispering when he gets outraged.
Trump to destroy my client's liberty 3 hours before every single time they want to do this. I get communications, oh, we're not going to try to revoke his bail. Then I go to Stoughton, they want to revoke his bail. What are they doing? They're corroborating the affidavit we talked about 5 minutes ago, where Jennifer McCabe said, I'm not going to
I'm not interested in that. I'm interested about the word revenge.
Judge, he can say revenge. He hopes it's revenge on.
He hopes revenge. So here's from Twitter. Hold on one second. Okay, hold on. Let me get to the meat of this. On Saturday, April 25th. So this is when that clip I played for you is from. Kearney went on a disturbing rant on his live show in which he wished Brian Tully, a Massachusetts state trooper involved in both his case and Reed's case, along with his wife and children, should burn to death in a car accident. Kearney told his audience Jesus talks to him and has told him to take revenge. Yesterday in his bail revocation hearing, Kearney's attorney, Timothy Bradel, tried to argue that by saying revenge, Kearney meant karma. As I'm sure the reader is aware, karma by definition is fate stepping in as ethical consequence of one's actions. Revenge, on the other hand, and this is something that Karen Reed has fished out as the motivating factor for the crime against John O'Keefe. The plan was to teach John a lesson. And I happen to believe Karen Reed when she talks. Leave him out in the snow. Teach him a lesson. How dare he break up with me? He tried to break up with her days before. She murdered him with her SUV, and she wouldn't leave John O'Keefe's house. Back to this about Aiden Carney using the word revenge. I'm just saying that revenge is something that motivates both Aiden Carney and Karen Reed. Revenge, on the other hand, as both a noun and a verb, is the action of inflicting harm or hurt or harm on someone for an injury or slight the person has been perceived to have committed. Just getting them is slight enough. How dare you arrest me? How dare you try to make me responsible for my own actions? I like putting people in a fear state. I like rallying. I like going to people's children's sports games and making them feel afraid and like they have no privacy, and I'll be everywhere. And you said that before too. I'll be everywhere. As I'm sure the reader is aware, I mean, that's not a direct quote, but you're never getting away from this type thing. As I'm sure the reader is aware, karma by definition is fate stepping in as an ethical consequence of one's actions. I read that before. Revenge, on the other hand, as both a noun and a verb, is the action of inflicting hurt or harm on someone for an injury or slight the person has been perceived to have committed. Unfortunately for Kearney, he too rather ineloquently explained the difference between the two when he referred to Nicholas Guarino's accident during the rant, thus showing he's well aware the difference and further the true intent of his words, which were a threat of physical harm. Kearney will continue to exploit and abuse the First Amendment and cause emotional and psychological harm to others until the court finally steps in. I don't think they are going to step in yet. I think he's going to have to reoffend some more. Let's hope they do so before someone is actually physically harmed. Despite his whining that it is everyone else's fault he is in this position, the revocation, meaning they should revoke his bail. He only has himself to blame. So that's from Twitter. Let's listen to the rest of Bradel pretending to be outraged.
On a bad guy that's been destroying him. We cannot engage in this kind of content-based viewpoint discrimination. We don't have to like the viewpoint, but like Voltaire's biographer said, we have to defend to the death his right to say it. And that's all this is, Your Honor, over and over again with this. Excuse me 1 second, please, Your Honor.
Yep, no, take your time.
And Judge, in this context, to address your question, in this context, Judge, revenge means karma. He's not saying, I'm going to go get revenge on you. He's saying that karma's a bitch, is what he's saying, Your Honor. And he's allowed to say that. And this isn't something that is intended to be played on a judge's bench in the formality of the courtroom. This is something that he is talking to his viewers online. And he's allowed to do that, Your Honor. So we have got to stop this charade that this is somehow, gee whiz, we got to lock him up because he's talking and satirizing, engaging in political hyperbole, protected by Watts, Brandenburg. The only thing he can't say are true threats and fighting words. We all know that 100 times over. Why are we here, Your Honor? I ask that you deny the motion and just please issue a ruling that settles this issue once and for all, that this has a chilling effect, Your Honor. Every time we're here, how many journalists...
A chilling effect? A chilling effect? Chilling effect. Try leading groups of people in a rolling rally to people's houses and basically a pitchforking mob, leading a pitchforking mob to witnesses in this case's houses and calling them murderers and killers. That has a chilling effect. You can protest in a public place, but once you go to someone's home, that becomes something different. And I love this. I just got to comment something like, I don't understand the words that come out of my mouth. I mean, you can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up. Thank you for the chuckles.
What do we have in this room?
Okay, I'm up here. Director remarks to me, not to anybody
No,
else.
I'm just looking to see if there's.
No, I'm up here.
There's journalists cover this case. They are experiencing a chilling effect. Am I next? Is the Commonwealth going to go after me next? How far can I go? Can I show up at someone's door and knock on the door? Oh, did I intimidate somebody? Is Norfolk County going to go after me?
Your Honor, can I even go over to my friend's house for a cup of coffee? Is someone going to arrest me for witness harassment? What has the world come to? I mean, can I lead a pitchforky mob with big signs from house to house, a witness to witnesses in a murder case, and accuse those witnesses of being murder with their kids there? Can I go to their homes and knock on their door and call them killers, complete strangers? What has the world come to? I mean, I'm not even sure if I can go out to coffee with my friend Joe anymore. If I knock on Joe's door, he's not expecting me. I mean, what's going on? Can you even knock on a door anymore without getting a witness harassment count here in Massachusetts? What's the world come to?
We don't know. We don't know what they're capable of. And Your Honor, you're the bulwark here. This is the First Amendment we're talking about. We're kicking this around like it's some city.
Your Honor, you're the sheriff. You're the sheriff in town. Your Honor, you're the almighty, all-powerful dude. You got to help us out.
Ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to take it under advisement. Mr. Kearney, please stand up. You're walking on kind of thin ice. I'm going to review everything, and I'll come out with an order. But I take what Mr. Cosgrove has presented very seriously. I also take into account that there are certain First Amendment rights here as well. And then the issue is always how far does the First Amendment take you, and when does it become intimidation of a witness? The word revenge, some of those other words that are on that tape are getting very, very close. So I'll take it all under advisement. Let me just
say, not over the line, getting close. I don't think so. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. We've seen there, but we know that Aiden Carney, I don't know, sometimes he can clean up his act. But never for very long. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. That's what I have for today. We've been going for 2 hours, 28 minutes. Oh, wow. Time's flown. I think I'm going to leave it here for tonight. Please support the channel. The links are in the description of this episode. Please buy me a coffee, support the channel via Venmo, become a Patreon member, and get access to there's a whole bunch of stuff on Patreon that is exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else, podcasts, live streams, etc. I will be back tomorrow morning at 9:00 to watch the trial. So I'll see all my trial watchers there. Have a great night, everyone. Thanks for listening.
I hit my boyfriend with my car. It wasn't an accident, but with lying lawyers I'll go far. Lying lawyers and witness harassment. I'll avoid prison. It was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system I clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim. Carry, Jen, like John, you were my it was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system I clown.